There are moments that baseball cannot prepare you for. Not the walk-off home runs. Not the World Series clinchers. Not the standing ovations that shake the walls of a stadium and follow you home in your sleep. The moments that truly stay with you are the quiet ones. The ones that happen in private. Without cameras. Without crowds. Without any reason to perform. Aaron Judge, 6'7", the captain of the New York Yankees, one of the most decorated players in the modern era of baseball, is not a man who cries easily. Those who have shared a clubhouse with him will tell you that. He is a wall of composure. A professional in the truest sense of the word. A man who absorbs the weight of expectations that would crush most people and walks out onto the field the next day like it weighs nothing. But in the hours after one of the most painful losses of his recent career, something broke through that composure. His phone buzzed. He looked down at the screen. The message was from Shohei Ohtani. And what was written in that message, just a few quiet, personal, completely unexpected words, made Aaron Judge's eyes fill with tears. "I never imagined," Judge said afterward, voice barely steady, "that he would say something like that." What did Ohtani say? Why did it hit so hard? And why has this single private moment, one message, one act of invisible kindness, traveled across the entire world, with media from Tokyo to New York to London calling Shohei Ohtani something they rarely call the greatest athletes on the planet? A true star. Not because of what he does on the field, but because of who he is when no one is watching. To understand why this moment mattered so deeply, you have to understand what Aaron Judge was carrying that night. The loss itself was painful. The kind of loss that doesn't fade quickly. The kind where you replay every at-bat, every decision, every split second where the outcome could have shifted, and it didn't. Where the effort was real, the preparation was thorough, and the results still fell apart. Judge sat in the silence of the clubhouse afterward. This is a specific kind of silence that only elite athletes know. The locker room after a devastating loss. Trainers moving quietly. Staff speaking in low voices. The hum of fluorescent lights above rows of empty lockers. The weight of it pressing down on everyone still inside. Most people leave quickly on nights like that. Get home. Get away from it. Judge stayed. He processed it the way he always does, with accountability, with discipline, with that composure that his teammates have come to rely on as much as his bat. And then, into that silence, Ohtani's message arrived. Not a public comment. Not a social media post tagged for the world to see. Not a PR-approved statement sent through an assistant. A direct, private, personal message. Written by Ohtani himself. Sent only to Judge. And what it said, the specificity of it, the genuine care behind it, the fact that Ohtani had clearly been thinking about Judge as a person and not just as a competitor, stopped Judge completely. He read it once. Then again. And then Aaron Judge, the captain, the wall, the man who carries the Yankees on his back without flinching, felt his eyes sting. I never imagined he would say something like that. The relationship between Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge is one of the most fascinating in modern baseball, precisely because it exists mostly in the margins. They play in the same league. They compete for the same headlines. Every season, the conversation around the greatest player in baseball inevitably circles back to these two names. Their statistics are studied side by side. Their contracts are compared. Their legacies are already being shaped by analysts who haven't even seen the full arc of either career yet. And yet, what they share goes beyond competition. There is a mutual respect between them that players and coaches around both men have noticed and remarked upon. It is the particular respect of two people who understand the specific pressure the other lives under, because they live under versions of it themselves. Judge knows what it means to be the face of a franchise. To be the player every camera finds first. To carry the expectations of an entire city every time you step into the batter's box. Ohtani knows what it means to carry something even larger than a franchise. He carries the hopes and pride of an entire nation. Every at-bat in America is broadcast live in Japan. Every injury update triggers national conversation. He exists at a scale of visibility that is genuinely without modern precedent in sport. Two men. Two different kinds of weight. Both carrying it with a dignity that the baseball world has quietly admired for years. When one of them reaches across that space, not as a rival, not as a competitor, but simply as one human being to another, it means something. It means something that statistics cannot measure and highlight reels cannot capture. This moment did not surprise the people who know Shohei Ohtani personally. Because this is not an isolated incident. This is not a carefully managed PR gesture. This is simply the pattern of who he is. Former teammates speak about it with a particular kind of reverence. The word they reach for, again and again, is not talented. It is not disciplined or dedicated or any of the words the sports world typically uses to describe elite athletes. The word they reach for is kind. In team settings, Ohtani is the player who notices the youngest, most nervous teammate in the room and finds a way to include him. He makes jokes that land without excluding anyone. He sits with people. He listens, genuinely listens, in a way that great athletes, surrounded constantly by people performing for their attention, rarely do. His physical preparation is legendary. His diet is meticulous. His training routines are the stuff of locker room mythology, younger players attempting to imitate them and abandoning the effort within days, shaking their heads in disbelief at what Ohtani treats as ordinary. But ask the people who have shared a locker room with him what they remember most, and they will not reach for the training stories first. They will reach for the moments of human connection. The quiet check-in after a bad game. The genuine laugh shared over something small. The text message sent at exactly the right moment. The message to Aaron Judge. It is worth pausing here to consider what Shohei Ohtani's daily existence actually looks like. He cannot move through a public space unnoticed anywhere in the world. In Japan, he is not merely a baseball player, he is a national symbol, a figure of cultural pride, a name that transcends sport entirely. In America, he has achieved something almost impossible. He has made baseball feel new again to a generation of fans who had drifted away from it. Casual fans who cannot name 5 active players know Ohtani's name. Casual fans who have never watched a full 9 innings will stop scrolling when his highlights appear. This level of visibility is a particular kind of pressure. It changes how people move around you. It changes what people ask of you and what they never dare to ask. It creates distance, not always intentionally, but inevitably. Most athletes at Ohtani's level of fame eventually build walls. They have to. The alternative is being consumed entirely by the demands of the world's attention. Ohtani has not built those walls. And that, more than the pitching, more than the hitting, more than any statistic in any record book, is what sets him apart as a human being. He has chosen, consciously and consistently, to remain present. To remain connected. To treat the people around him not as the supporting cast of his story, but as people whose own stories matter. That choice, made daily, in private, without applause, is the truest measure of his character. When Judge's emotional reaction to Ohtani's message became known, spreading the way genuine human moments always spread, through the quiet testimony of people who were there, the response from world media was immediate and unanimous. In Japan, it was front page. Not the sports page. The front page. In the United States, columnists who cover culture and character as much as competition wrote about it at length. What does it mean that the most famous athlete in baseball took the time to reach personally into a rival's painful moment and offer something real? In Europe, in countries where baseball barely registers, it ran as a human interest story. Because that is precisely what it was. "This is a true star," wrote one major international outlet. The phrase traveled. It was translated and reprinted. It captured something that people across languages and cultures recognized instantly. Not a true star because of the two-way brilliance. Not because of the historic contract. Not because of the awards or the records or the highlights that will outlive everyone currently watching them. A true star because of the message. Because when Aaron Judge needed it most, Shohei Ohtani was thinking of him. In an era where celebrity athletes are managed like brands, where every public statement is approved, every image is curated, every interaction is filtered through layers of handlers and publicists, a genuinely private act of kindness is revolutionary. It shouldn't be. But it is. Because we have been conditioned to expect distance from the greatest among us. We have been conditioned to accept that the price of extraordinary talent is a certain coldness, a certain inaccessibility, a certain armor that the very famous wear to survive their fame. Shohei Ohtani refuses that trade. He will not trade his humanity for his legend. He will not let the scale of his fame excuse him from the ordinary responsibilities of being a decent person. He will not use the weight of expectation as a reason to stop noticing the people around him. And so when Aaron Judge sat alone in the quiet of a difficult night, and felt his phone buzz, and read words from Ohtani that he never expected to read, it moved him not just as a baseball player receiving a message from a peer. It moved him as a human being, recognizing another human being choosing, freely and privately, to be kind. The greatest athletes in the world are often defined by what they do when everything is on the line. The clutch hit. The impossible play. The moment when the game is decided and history remembers who rose to it. But there is another kind of greatness. The kind that shows up in private messages. In quiet moments. In the choice to reach out to someone who is hurting, not because anyone will see it, not because it builds a reputation or a brand, but simply because it is the right thing to do. Aaron Judge will play many more seasons. He will hit many more home runs. He will have nights that erase the memory of his worst losses. But he will remember that message. Long after the final scores are forgotten, long after the statistics fade into the blur of baseball history, he will remember that on one quiet, painful night, Shohei Ohtani thought of him. And the world, when it learned of it, had only one thing to say. This is a true star.